Hello, the viewers of The Pioneer. Today we're going to share some of the most overlooked but critically important developments of the war as the conflict between Russia and Ukraine grows more complex every day. Strategic moves behind the scenes could determine the future course of the war. Today we'll focus on the bigger picture behind these moves. In particular, a recent unexpected development could upset both military and economic balances. We'll examine the consequences of this event and how it could shape the future of the war. In recent days, there's been an attack that fits this description, putting Russia under severe pressure, both militarily and economically. While war is often characterized by fighting on the front lines, there are more complex and strategic processes going on behind the scenes, and a recent airstrike has the potential to directly affect the fate of the war. Not only the military, but also the economic effects of this attack are likely to be profound. So, what lies behind these developments? What is the significance of the economic contractions in addition to the military losses at this stage of the war? Let us evaluate these critical developments together. Now, before we get into our report, a quick reminder. The Pioneer team is real. None of my team members, or me for that matter, are artificial intelligence. There's no doubt that AI is very advanced, but it's still not as good as us. Now that we've got that out of the way, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss our daily reports and explanations. We also see all the comments you leave on our videos, as you can see. So please continue to share your ideas about our content in the comments section. Tell us in the comments what content you'd like to see on the Pioneer channel. So let's begin if you're ready. The Pioneer reports. Ukraine's long-range strikes on Russian territory have highlighted the strategic importance of Kyiv's cross-border operations aimed at striking a blow to Moscow's military power. Recent satellite imagery clearly shows the fires and explosions, particularly after an ammunition depot was hit near the town of Tikhorets in the Krasnodar territory in the southwestern part of Russia. The Ukrainian General Staff says that this attack was a great success and dealt a heavy blow to Moscow's logistical infrastructure. These operations are part of Ukraine's critical steps to turn the tide of the war. Such attacks, especially targeting Russia's military depots, are seen as strategic moves to put Moscow in a difficult situation, both logistically and operationally. The Kyiv administration argues that its cross-border operations don't only have military consequences, but will also cause great damage to Russia's combat capability in the long run. According to Ukrainian military assessments, the ammunition depot in the town of Tikhorets was one of three major military depots vital for Russia's ability to continue its military operations. It's estimated that around 2,000 tons of ammunition were stored there, and the destruction of this amount of arsenal has dealt a serious blow to Moscow's capacity to deliver supplies to the front line. Ukraine's operation is considered a critical success, especially considering the most of the ammunition used by Russia in its attacks against Ukraine was supplied from these depots. Kyiv's strategy to weaken Moscow's combat capability through such attacks is not limited to Tikhorets. Ukraine's intelligence service recently targeted another ammunition depot near the village of Oktyabrskyi in the Tver region. Explosions and fires in this area indicate that the Russian army has suffered a major loss of ammunition and logistical support. In particular, Kyiv aims to rapidly deplete Moscow's military resources with these attacks on strategic targets in Russia's interior. According to the British Ministry of Defence, Ukraine's latest attack targeted an ammunition depot near the town of Toropets in the Tver region. The ministry said the explosion from this attack had the force of a mild earthquake. This statement shows how powerful and destructive Ukraine's attacks are and how vulnerable Moscow is in the face of them. In particular, the damage to Russia's military logistics chain severely limits Moscow's ability to transfer new ammunition and resources to the front line. Such operations, which directly target Russia's combat capability, are considered as part of Ukraine's long-term war strategy. The Kyiv administration aims to break Moscow's military power and limit Russia's mobility on the battlefield through cross-border operations. These attacks, especially against ammunition depots, stand out as a strategic move to cut the logistical support of the Russian army and turn the course of the war in favor of Ukraine. The destruction of the ammunition depot in Tikhorets has not only reduced the Russian army's capacity to provide logistical support to its frontline operations, but has also dealt a direct blow to Moscow's combat capability. The destruction of this arsenal, estimated to contain around 2,000 tons of ammunition, has severely weakened Russia's ability to support its operations in Ukraine. Kyiv aims to prolong the war and deplete Moscow's resources as part of Ukraine's long-term war strategy. Another important dimension of these strategic offensives is to increase Russia's domestic security concerns. While Moscow is scrambling to strengthen its defenses against Ukraine's cross-border operations, the impact of these attacks is having a profound domestic repercussion. The weakening of popular support for Russia's war effort by such attacks is another important factor that could weaken Moscow's hand. Now, Ukraine also aims to increase Russia's economic burden of the war with these cross-border operations. While the destruction of ammunition and logistics depots imposes a huge cost on Russia's defense industry, it also seriously squeezes Moscow's war budget. The financial burden of such losses is becoming increasingly heavy for Russia, which is struggling under economic sanctions and embargoes. Ukraine's strategy of depleting Russia's economic resources in addition to military targets could significantly affect the course of the war. As a result, Russia's cross-border operations are part of a long-term strategy to limit Moscow's military capabilities and turn the tide of the war in Ukraine's favor. These attacks on critical military targets such as ammunition depots and logistical bases significantly weaken Russia's combat power and increase Moscow's domestic security concerns, while Ukraine aims to break Russia's power on the battlefield and put Moscow in an economically difficult situation with these strategic attacks. It continues to make critical moves regarding the course of the war. Ukraine's strategic moves aim to put pressure on Moscow not only militarily but also economically and psychologically. Now, what do you think? How long do you think the Ukrainian army will shake the Russian economy? How will the shaken economy affect Russia's war potential? Do you find these attacks effective? Do you think the Russian people could revolt against Putin because of the economy? What would be the consequences of this potential uprising? Let us know in the comments. We read and care about your opinions.